The massive alien lion warrior roared as he stood before the Council of 12 Systems, his golden mane shimmering under the Grand Chamber's lights. "I fight in the name of Earth," his thunderous voice declared. Whispers spread among the alien delegates how, had a human, a species barely known beyond their own system, tamed the fiercest Leonid warrior ever known. Behind him stood Dr. Maya Chen, the simple field medic who had found him dying on a forgotten battlefield. Their eyes met across the chamber, a silent agreement passing between them. No one knew their incredible journey had begun with a forbidden act of mercy that would reshape galactic history forever. Before we carry on, please hit the subscribe button and let me know where you are watching from in the comments. The sky burned crimson above the battlefield. Dr. Maya Chen pulled her medic's hood tighter against the acrid smoke that stung her eyes and lungs. The evacuation order had come through hours ago, but she'd ignored it. There were still wounded soldiers out here, human soldiers who needed her help before the Meridian forces returned to finish what they started. "Command to all personnel. Immediate withdrawal required. Hostiles inbound. This is not a drill. Repeat, immediate withdrawal." The automated message continued to loop through her comm unit. Maya silenced it with a swipe of her gloved finger. "Just one more sweep," she promised herself. Just one more chance to save a life before the evacuation ships departed. The Battle of Proxima Station had been brutal. Humanity's first major interstellar conflict had not gone well. Territorial disputes with the Meridian Collective had escalated quickly, and their superior technology had devastated Earth's expeditionary force. What was supposed to be a peacekeeping mission had turned into a slaughter. Her med scanner beeped weakly, detecting faint life signs nearby. Maya adjusted her course, stepping carefully through the debris field of twisted metal and shattered equipment. The readings led her toward a collapsed structure that had once been an outpost communication tower. "Hello? Earth Defense Force medic. Is anyone there?" she called out, not expecting a response. The scanner was probably picking up some poor soul's final moments. A low, rumbling growl answered her. Maya froze. That sound wasn't human. The growl came again, weaker this time, followed by a series of clicks and hisses that her translator implant couldn't process. She should run. Every protocol demanded it. But the med scanner continued to register critical life signs, and Maya had taken an oath. "I'm coming in," she called out, drawing her emergency sidearm with one hand while keeping her medkit ready in the other. "I'm the doctor. I can help." Cautiously, she navigated through the twisted entrance of the fallen structure. Emergency lights from her helmet illuminated the dark interior, casting long shadows across the debris. The air was thick with dust and the coppery scent of blood, not human blood. Something different, heavier. That's when she saw him. The creature was massive, easily 8 feet tall, though he was currently sprawled against a support beam, half buried under rubble. His body resembled that of a lion, if lions stood upright and had opposable thumbs. Golden fur matted with blue-black blood covered rippling muscles. A magnificent mane, once proud but now caked with dust and gore, framed a face that was both feline and somehow humanoid, with intelligent eyes that tracked her every movement. A Leonid warrior. Maya had only seen them in intelligence briefings. Elite shock troops of the Meridian Collective, bioengineered killing machines with strength and reflexes that made them lethal opponents. The diplomatic corps had warned that the Leonids considered surrender dishonorable and would fight to the death. This one was dying. Even without her scanner, Maya could see the massive wound in his side, the awkward angle of his leg, the labored breathing. The Leonid's amber eyes locked with hers. His massive jaws parted, revealing intimidating fangs as he attempted to speak. Her translator picked up fragments. "Finish it. Warrior's death." He wanted her to kill him. Maya's fingers tightened around her sidearm. This creature's comrades had slaughtered hundreds of humans in the past week alone. By every military regulation, he was an enemy combatant. By medical ethics, he was a patient in need. "I don't kill the wounded," Maya said firmly, holstering her weapon. "I'm a doctor." The Leonid's eyes narrowed, confusion evident in his pained expression. He growled something her translator couldn't catch, then tried again. "Humans No honor. Leave me. Maya ignored him, activating her med scanner for a more detailed analysis. The results made her wince. Multiple internal injuries, severe blood loss, a shattered femur equivalent, and some kind of toxin in his system that was slowing his natural regeneration. Without treatment, he had maybe an hour left. Even with emergency care, his chances were slim. "My name is Dr. Maya Chen," she said as she began to unpack her medkit. "I'm going to try to stabilize you." The Leonid attempted to swipe at her with massive claws, but the movement was weak, uncoordinated. "No dishonor, must die in battle." "Well, the battle's over," Maya replied calmly, prepping a universal coagulant. "And you're currently dying under a pile of rubble. Not exactly the glorious end I imagine you were hoping for." She worked quickly, applying pressure bandages to the worst of his external wounds while administering broad-spectrum antibiotics and painkillers. His physiology was different from a human's, but similar enough that her emergency treatments should help. The real challenge would be the internal bleeding and that broken leg. "Why?" the Leonid growled as she worked. "You're kind. We kill." Maya didn't look up from her task. "Because that's what doctors do. We heal, even enemies." The Leonid fell silent, watching her with those intense amber eyes as she fought to save his life. Maya lost track of time, focused entirely on her patient. She used emergency bone-setting foam on his leg, synthetic skin patches for the worst lacerations, and a field regeneration stimulator to help his body's natural healing process. Her comm unit buzzed again, this time with an urgent personal message. "Chen, where the hell are you? Last evacuation shuttle leaves in 15 minutes. Get your ass to the landing pad or you're being left behind." It was Captain Rivera, her commanding officer. Maya glanced at the Leonid, who had stabilized somewhat but was still in critical condition. She couldn't move him by herself, and even if she could, bringing an enemy combatant onto an evacuation shuttle would be seen as treason. The Leonid seemed to understand her dilemma. "Go," he rumbled. "I accept fate." Maya made her decision. "Captain Rivera, I'm treating a critical patient. I need an extraction team at my coordinates." There was a moment of silence before Rivera's voice returned, thunderous with anger. "Chen, we are at maximum capacity with our own wounded. Whoever you're treating, they're not worth your life. That's an order. Return to base immediately." "I can't do that, sir," Maya replied, continuing to work on the fees. Leonid. "Damn it, Chen. Who is so important that you're throwing away your life?" Maya took a deep breath. "A Leonid warrior, sir. Critical but stable with continued treatment." The silence that followed was deafening. When Rivera's voice returned, it was a scold. "You are hereby relieved of duty, Dr. Chen. Your medical license will be reviewed upon your court-martial if you survive, which seems unlikely. Rivera out." Maya's hands trembled slightly as she turned off her comm unit. She had just ended her career, and possibly signed her own death warrant. But as she looked at the Leonid, whose breathing had eased somewhat under her care, she couldn't bring herself to regret it. "You foolish," the Leonid said, his voice stronger than before. "They abandon you because of me." "Probably," Maya agreed, checking his vitals again. "But I couldn't live with myself if I left you to die when I could help. That's not who I am." The Leonid studied her face intently. "You have warrior's heart, no fear." Maya laughed, a bit hysterically. "Oh, I'm terrified. But fear doesn't change what's right." Outside, the distant rumble of the evacuation ship's engines grew louder, then began to fade. They were leaving. Maya was now stranded on a hostile planet with an enemy soldier who, until recently, had been trying to kill her people. The absurdity of the situation hit her, and she sat back on her heels, suddenly exhausted. "What's your name?" she asked the Leonid. He hesitated, then answered in a series of growls and clicks that her translator couldn't process. Seeing her confusion, he attempted an approximation in sounds she could pronounce. "Kor'Jak." "Well, Kor'Jak," Maya said, wiping sweat from her brow. "Looks like we're stuck with each other for now. Your forces will probably be back to secure the area soon. When they arrive, Maybe you can explain that I helped you and they shouldn't immediately shoot me." Kor'Jak's expression shifted, something like concern crossing his feline features. "My unit. Dead. All dead. Command believes. Position lost. No rescue." "What? But your side won this battle. The Meridian forces overwhelmed us." The Leonid shook his massive head. "Different faction. Meridians use us as shock troops. Expendable." His breathing had improved, but speaking still clearly pained him. "My unit. Sent to die. Create diversion." Maya processed this information slowly. Her understanding of the conflict's politics was limited to military briefings, but she'd gathered that the Meridian Collective was more of a loose alliance than a unified force. Apparently, the Leonids weren't equal partners. "Oh, we're both abandoned," she concluded grimly. "On a planet with minimal resources and an environment that will kill us in." She checked her environmental scanner. "About 3 days, when the radiation from that damaged reactor reaches lethal levels." Kor'Jak bared his teeth in what might have been a grim smile. "Still prefer warriors. Death." "No one's dying if I can help it," Maya insisted, checking her medkit supplies. She had enough for maybe another day of treatment. After that, they'd need to find more supplies. "Can you move at all?" The Leonid attempted to shift his massive frame, wincing visibly. "Not far, not fast. Well, we need shelter, supplies, and a communication system that can reach someone willing to pick us up." Maya stood, stretching her cramped muscles. "The main base might have supplies left behind, and there's a chance some of the long-range comm equipment survived." Kor'Jak studied her with those penetrating amber eyes. "Why help me still? No honor in saving enemy who failed." Maya met his gaze steadily. "Where I come from, there's no honor in letting anyone die needlessly. You're my patient now, and I don't abandon patience." For the first time, something like respect showed in the Leonid's expression. "Then, I will try to walk." With Maya's help and a makeshift crutch fashioned from debris, Kor'Jak managed to stand. He towered over her, nearly twice her height, his massive frame making her feel tiny by comparison. Yet there was something oddly vulnerable about him now. This fierce warrior depended on her help. "Lean on me," Maya offered, positioning herself under his arm. Kor'Jak growled softly. "Will crush you. I'm stronger than I look," she insisted. "And we don't have a lot of options." Together, they began their slow journey across the battlefield toward the abandoned human outpost. Each step was agony for Kor'Jak, but he made no sound of complaint. Maya found herself admiring his stoicism, even as she worried about the strain on his injuries. The landscape around them was apocalyptic cratered terrain, burned-out vehicles, and the occasional body, already being reclaimed by the planet's aggressive microorganisms. Maya averted her eyes from the fallen, focusing instead on their destination and the immediate needs of her patient. "Tell me about your people," she said to distract them both from the grim surroundings. "The briefings we received were limited." Kor'Jak was silent for so long that Maya thought he might not answer. Finally, he spoke, his deep voice rumbling against her side where she supported him. "We are Leonid, created by Meridian science, to be perfect warriors, strong, fast, loyal." His breathing grew labored with exertion, but he continued. 5 generations, since creation. Once slaves, now allies, but not equals. "You were engineered?" Maya asked, surprised. The briefings had mentioned the Leonids were bioengineered, but had implied they were more like constructs than a true species. "First generation, built in labs. Now we breed, have cubs, culture." Pride entered his voice despite his pain. "Half history now. Songs of battle, codes of honor. And families?" Maya asked, helping him navigate around a particularly large crater. "Yes, my mate, 2 cubs." For the first time, emotion cracked through his stoic facade. "Never see them again." Now, Maya felt a pang of sympathy. Don't say that. We're going to find a way off this rock. They continued in silence after that, each lost in their own thoughts. The outpost gradually grew larger on the horizon, a collection of prefabricated structures, some still standing despite the battle damage. By the time they reached it, Kor'Jak was leaning heavily on Maya, his breathing ragged. "Need to rest," she insisted, guiding him into the relative shelter of what had been the outpost's medical bay. Most of the equipment had been stripped during the evacuation, but to Maya's relief, not everything had been taken. She helped Kor'Jak onto an examination table that creaked ominously under his weight. "I need to check your wounds, then I'll look for supplies, and see if any communication equipment is still operational." The Leonid nodded wearily, his eyes half closed with exhaustion. Maya worked efficiently, cleaning his wounds again and applying fresh bandages. His natural healing ability was impressive already. The smaller lacerations were closing, but the major injuries would take time that they might not have. "Rest," she instructed when she finished. "I'll be back soon." Maya explored the outpost methodically, gathering anything useful she could find. Some emergency rations left behind, a few medical supplies overlooked in the haste of evacuation, and most crucially, a portable communications unit that still had power. It wasn't designed for interstellar communication, but it might reach a passing ship if they were lucky. When she returned to the medical bay, she found Kor'Jak alert, his amber eyes tracking her movements. "Found some supplies," she reported, setting down her scavenged items. "And a comm unit, though I'm not sure who we should try to contact. Both sides want me dead now," Kor'Jak rumbled. "Failed mission. Survived when unit destroyed. Dishonor." "That's ridiculous," Maya protested. "You fought bravely from what I can tell. It's not your fault your commanders used you as cannon fodder." Kor'Jak's expression hardened. "You don't understand. Leonid honor, everything. Without it, nothing." Maya sat beside his table, suddenly exhausted. "Well, where I come from, honor includes not abandoning the wounded and not executing soldiers for surviving battle. So you'll have to excuse me if I don't buy into your death wish." The Leonid studied her curiously. "Your honor, strange, but strong. Thanks, I think." Maya managed a small smile. "Now, we need a plan. This outpost won't shield us from the radiation for long, and we have limited supplies. There must be someone we can contact who won't immediately try to kill us." Kor'Jak was silent for a long moment, clearly weighing something in his mind. Finally, he spoke reluctantly. "There is possibility. Independent traders, no allegiance, for payment, might help." "Smugglers?" Maya asked. "Yes, not honorable, but practical. Do you know how to contact them?" Kor'Jak gestured to the comm unit. "Need to adjust frequency. Special encryption." Maya brought the device to him, watching as his massive clawed hands manipulated the controls with surprising delicacy. Despite his injuries, his movements were precise. Expert. "You've done this before," she observed. The Leonid did not meet her eyes. "Sometimes missions require unofficial resources. You're full of surprises, Kor'Jak." He finished adjusting the comm unit and activated it, sending out a series of coded bursts that meant nothing to Maya. When he finished, he set the device aside. "Now we wait," he said simply. "If any nearby, we'll answer. And if not," Kor'Jak's expression was grim. "Then we find honorable death. Together." Maya shook her head firmly. "That's not an option. There has to be another way." The hours passed slowly. Maya redressed Kor'Jak's wounds and helped him consume some of the emergency rations, which he found distasteful but ate without complaint. They spoke little, the strange intimacy of their situation creating both connection and awkwardness. As night fell, the temperature dropped dramatically. The outpost's environmental controls were offline, and soon the interior grew cold enough that Maya began to shiver despite her thermal undersuit. Kor'Jak noticed her discomfort. "You're fragile to cold," he observed. "We manage," Maya replied through chattering teeth. To her surprise, the Leonid shifted his massive body, creating space beside him on the examination table. "Come, share warmth," Maya hesitated only briefly, before practicality overrode any concerns about propriety. She climbed up beside him, immediately feeling the intense heat radiating from his large frame. His fur, though coarse, provided incredible insulation. "Thank you," she murmured, feeling her shivering subside. "Survival... practical," he rumbled, but there was something almost gentle in his tone. As Maya drifted toward sleep, exhaustion finally claiming her, she wondered at the strange twists of fate that had brought her here, curled against the massive form of an alien warrior who, by all rights, should have been her Binarel. Enemy. The comm unit's sudden, insistent beeping jolted her awake. Kor'Jak was already alert, reaching for the device with surprising speed given his injuries. A scratchy voice emerged from the speaker, speaking in a language Maya's translator struggled with. Kor'Jak responded in the same tongue, his deep voice firm despite his weakened state. The conversation continued for several minutes, Kor'Jak growing increasingly insistent, while the voice on the other end remained reluctant. Finally, Kor'Jak switched to English for Maya's benefit. "They come. Dawn. Payment required." "Payment? What kind of payment? I don't exactly have credits on me." The Leonid's expression was unreadable. "I offered knowledge, military targets, supply routes." Maya stared at him in shock. "You're betraying your people?" "Not my people," Kor'Jak corrected harshly. "Meridian Masters. Use Leonid. Discard Leonid." His amber eyes locked with hers. "You showed honor. They showed none." Maya processed this, understanding the magnitude of his decision. For a warrior culture, this kind of betrayal would typically be unthinkable. Yet here he was, choosing to help her help them, both at great personal cost. "What will you do afterward?" she asked softly. "If we get off this planet?" Kor'Jak looked away. "No place for failed warrior, no place for traitor." "You could come with me to Earth," Maya suggested impulsively. "Apply for asylum. Your knowledge would be valuable, and you'd be protected." The Leonid's eyes widened slightly in surprise. "Humans would accept enemy?" "Not all humans, maybe. There would be challenges. But yes, there are protocols for defectors, especially those with valuable intelligence." Maya sat up, warming to the idea. "And you'd have me to vouch for you." Kor'Jak studied her face intently. "Why help still? Debt paid, I find rescue. Because I believe everyone deserves a second chance," Maya replied simply. "And because I think you have more to offer than just being a weapon for someone else to point." Something shifted, in the Leonid's expression a softening. A moment of vulnerability quickly masked. "We'll consider," he said finally. They lapsed into silence, waiting as the night slowly gave way to dawn. Outside, the first rays of the alien sun crept across the devastated landscape, casting long shadows through the outpost's broken windows. The sound came without warning, the distinctive hum of a spacecraft's engines, growing rapidly louder. Maya moved to the window, peering out cautiously. A small, battered transport ship was descending toward the outpost's landing pad, its design unlike anything in Earth's fleet. "They're here," she called to Kor'Jak. The Leonid struggled to sit up, his injuries still severe despite his remarkable healing. "Be careful," he warned. "Not friends, just business." The ship landed with a mechanical whine, its thrusters kicking up dust and debris. After a moment, the loading ramp extended, and 3 figures emerged. The lead figure was humanoid, but clearly not human tall, and thin with grayish skin and 4 arms. The others were bulkier, wearing environmental suits that obscured their features. Maya helped Kor'Jak to his feet, supporting his massive weight, as they made their slow way to meet the arrivals. The 4-armed alien assessed them coldly, multiple eyes blinking in sequence. "This is unexpected," the alien said in accented English, apparently for Maya's benefit. The mighty Kor'Jak, war leader of the Southern Pride, reduced to begging assistance from traitor Scown. The alien's mouth twisted in what might have been amusement. "And with a human medic, no less. The rumors of your death were clearly premature." "War leader?" Maya glanced at Kor'Jak in surprise. He had downplayed his importance significantly. "Terms agreed," Kor'Jak growled, ignoring the taunt. "Safe passage, medical care, information in exchange." The traitor named Scown stepped closer, examining Kor'Jak's injuries with clinical detachment. The information had better be exceptional. Harboring a Leonid commander and a human puts me at risk with both sides of your tedious conflict. Worth risk, Kor'Jak assured him. Supply depot coordinates, patrol schedules, command codes. Maya felt uncomfortable with this negotiation, but remained silent. Their survival depended on this arrangement, regardless of the ethical complexities. Chen seemed satisfied. Very well. But understand this: if your information proves false or outdated, both of you will be ejected into space without the courtesy of an airlock. The alien turned to Maya. The human comes as part of the package? She is not mentioned in our arrangement. She comes, Kor'Jak said firmly. Non-negotiable. How quaint. The beast forms an attachment. Scum gestured to his companions. Help them aboard. We must depart before Meridian patrols return to this sector. The journey to the ship was painful for Kor'Jak, though he made no sound of complaint. Inside, the vessel was cramped and utilitarian, clearly designed for cargo rather than passengers. They were led to a small compartment that might generously be called a medical bay, though it bore little resemblance to the sterile facilities Maya was accustomed to. Rest here, Skalm instructed. We depart immediately. I will collect my payment when you are stronger, Kor'Jak. When they were alone, Maya helped Kor'Jak onto the single examination table, which creaked ominously under his weight. War leader? She asked, once they were settled. You neglected to mention that detail. The Leonid had the grace to look slightly abashed, an expression strangely incongruous on his fierce features. Not important. Rank means nothing now. It might mean something to people trying to decide whether to grant you asylum, Maya pointed out. Kor'Jak's massive shoulders lifted in what might have been a shrug. We'll tell truth, when necessary. The ship shuddered around them as its engines engaged, lifting them away from the doomed planet. Maya felt a strange mixture of relief and apprehension. They had survived the immediate danger, but their future remained uncertain at best. Where will the ship take us? She asked. Neutral station. Xanthi outpost. Trading hub. Kor'Jak shifted uncomfortably, his injuries clearly paining him despite his stoicism. From there, can contact your people, and I fulfill bargain with Skalm. Maya found the ship's rudimentary medical supplies and began treating Kor'Jak's wounds again. And after that, have you considered my suggestion about Earth? The Leonid was silent for a long moment, his amber eyes distant. Never imagined life beyond service, beyond battle. There's a lot more to life than fighting, Maya said gently. Maybe it's time you discovered that. Perhaps. Kor'Jak caught her hand in his massive paw, the gesture surprisingly gentle. You saved more than body, Maya Chen. Saved honor. Different honor, but real. The sincerity in his voice touched her deeply. Rest now, she urged. We have a long journey ahead. As Kor'Jak drifted into healing sleep, Maya wondered what awaited them. Earth's military would be suspicious of a Leonid defector, especially one of high rank. There would be debriefings, interrogations, likely some who would want to study him, rather than treat him as a sentient being with rights. And what of her own future? She had defied direct orders, abandoned her post to save an enemy combatant. Court-martial was the best she could hope for. More likely, she would face charges of treason. Yet watching the steady rise and fall of Kor'Jak's chest, seeing the noble features of this warrior who had chosen to trust her despite everything, Maya couldn't bring herself to regret her choices. Something unprecedented had happened on that battlefield, a connection that transcended species and conflict, a moment of humanity that might, just might, lead to something greater. The journey to Xanthi outpost took 3 days. During that time, Maya rarely left Kor'Jak's side, monitoring his healing progress and learning more about his people. The Leonids, she discovered, were complex beings with rich traditions despite their relatively short history as a species. Their honor code was central to their identity, but it was more nuanced than the death before dishonor simplicity she had initially assumed. Kor'Jak spoke of his cubs with particular tenderness, describing their first steps, their early training, the pride he had felt watching them grow. His mate, a fierce warrior in her own right, had supported his military career even knowing the risks. Now, he wondered if she had been told of his honorable death in battle, or if uncertainty about his fate would haunt her. There must be a way to get a message to them, Maya suggested as she changed his bandages. His healing rate continued to astonish her. Wounds that would have taken months to heal in a human were already forming scar tissue. Too dangerous, Kor'Jak rumbled. Meridian monitors all communication, would endanger them. His massive paw clenched into a fist. Better they believe me dead with honor than no truth. The truth that you chose to save lives rather than take them? That doesn't sound so dishonorable to me. Kor'Jak's amber eyes held a mixture of pain and resignation. You do not understand. Leonid created for one purpose: to fight, to win. Survival not priority, victory is. Then maybe it's time for Leonids to define their own purpose, Maya argued gently. You're not just weapons. You've evolved, developed culture, family structures. You have the right to determine your own destiny. The Leonid fell silent, contemplating her words. Finally he spoke, his deep voice thoughtful. Perhaps, possibility. If others see another way, maybe you could show them that way, Maya suggested. The conversation ended as Trader Scown entered the medical bay, multiple eyes blinking rapidly in what Maya had learned was an expression of impatience. We approach Xanthi outpost, the alien announced. I must know your intentions once we dock. My responsibility for you ends there. Maya glanced at Kor'Jak, who nodded slightly. I need to contact Earth's diplomatic corps, she said. My companion wishes to request asylum. Scown's upper arms crossed while the lower set gestured dismissively. Troublesome. Earth maintains no official presence on Xanthi. Neutral territory, remember? But there is a human trading office. They might facilitate communication. The alien's attention shifted to Kor'Jak. And my payment? Are you well enough to provide what was promised? Yes, the Leonid confirmed. Need secure terminal. Naturally. Come to my quarters once we dock. Shaun turned to leave, then paused. A warning: Xanthi outpost sees all kinds. Some will recognize a Leonid commander. Some may seek advantage from such recognition. Caution advised. After the trader departed, Maya helped Kor'Jak to his feet. He could now stand without assistance, though he still moved carefully to avoid aggravating his healing injuries. He's right, Kor'Jak said grimly. Danger at outpost. For both. Then we'll be careful, Maya replied, checking her meager possessions, her medkit, partially depleted, her identification tags, and the sidearm she'd never used. We stay together, find the human trading office, and make contact as quickly as possible. Xanthi outpost proved to be everything Shaun had implied, and more: a chaotic, crowded space station constructed from mismatched modules and repurposed ships. The main concourse teemed with beings from dozens of species, most of which Maya couldn't identify. The air was thick with unfamiliar scents, filled with the cacophony of multiple languages, and vibrating with the barely contained energy of commerce on the galactic fringe. Kor'Jak attracted immediate attention. Leonids were apparently rare this far from the conflict zone, and his imposing presence caused crowds to part before them. Some observers showed fear, others curiosity, and a few displayed the calculating look of predators assessing potential prey. This way, Maya murmured, consulting the station directory Shaun had provided. The human trading office should be in section C7. They moved as quickly as Kor'Jak's healing injuries allowed, both acutely aware of the gazes following them. Several times, Maya noticed shadowy figures changing direction to match their path, keeping pace at a distance. We're followed, Kor'Jak confirmed quietly. 3, no, 4. Meridian agents? Possible. Or bounty hunters. Price on Leonid deserters. High. They increased their pace, navigating through increasingly narrow corridors. The human section of the station was smaller, less chaotic, but still far from the orderly environments Maya was accustomed to in Earth facilities. The trading office, when they found it, was little more than a reinforced door with the Earth Defense Force commercial logo stamped above a security scanner. Maya placed her palm against it, relieved when it recognized her military credentials despite her current status. The door slid open to reveal a small, cluttered office, where a middle-aged man sat behind a desk, overflowing with data tablets and oddly shaped artifacts. He looked up in surprise, his expression shifting rapidly from confusion to shock as he registered Kor'Jak's presence. "What in the seven hells?" he exclaimed, reaching for something under his desk. "Don't," Maya said quickly, stepping forward and displaying her identification. "Dr. Maya Chen, Earth Defense Force Medical Corps. This is Kor'Jak, formerly of the Leonid forces. He's seeking asylum and has critical intelligence to share." The man's hand remained beneath the desk, presumably on a weapon. "You expect me to believe a Leonid wants asylum? Those monsters fight to the death." "This one didn't," Maya replied firmly. "He's chosen a different path, and Earth's military intelligence would be extremely interested in what he knows." The tense silence followed as the man assessed them. Finally, curiosity appeared to overcome caution. "Robert Garcia," he introduced himself reluctantly. "Commercial attaché," which basically means I'm the only EDF representative within 5 parsecs. He withdrew his hand, revealing not a weapon but a communication device. "I'll need to verify your identity before we proceed." "Of course," Maya agreed. "But we may not have much time. We were followed on our way here." Garcia nodded grimly, activating his device. "Not surprising. This station's crawling with eyes for every major power. A human and a Leonid traveling together? You might as well have set off flares." While Garcia verified Maya's identity through encrypted channels, Kor'Jak positioned himself near the door, alert for any approach. His posture had shifted subtly, returning to that of a warrior despite his healing injuries. "Identity confirmed," Garcia announced after several tense minutes. "Though according to this, Dr. Chen, you're listed as AWOL and under investigation for possible treason." He eyed her speculatively. "Want to explain how a decorated combat medic ended up on the run with an enemy commander?" "It's a long story," Maya said wearily. "The short version is, I found him critically wounded after the Battle of Proxima Station. I treated him instead of leaving him to die, which violated direct orders. The evacuation left without me." Garcia's eyebrows rose. "So you saved his life, and in return, he's defecting?" "The Meridians abandoned my unit," Kor'Jak interjected, his deep voice rumbling through the small office. "Used as diversion. Expendable." His amber eyes narrowed. "This human showed honor when my commanders did not." A series of rapid beeps from Garcia's security console interrupted them. The commercial attaché glanced at the monitor and cursed under his breath. "We've got company. 4 individuals asking about a human woman and a Leonid who recently arrived." He looked up grimly. "They're claiming to be Meridian security agents with extradition authority." Kor'Jak growled, a low, dangerous sound. "Not agents. Hunters. Either way, they can't take you by force from a neutral station without causing an incident," Garcia said, though he didn't sound entirely convinced. "But accidents happen on Xanthi all the time." Maya felt a chill run through her. "We need to contact Earth Military Command directly. Kor'Jak has intelligence that could save thousands of lives." Garcia hesitated, clearly weighing his options. Finally, he nodded decisively. "There's a secure communication suite in the back. Military-grade encryption. I can connect you directly to command, but there's no guarantee they'll be receptive to a Leonid defector." "They will listen," Maya insisted. "Once they understand what he knows." Garcia led them through a hidden door at the back of his office into a small, surprisingly well-equipped communication center. "This is technically only for emergency diplomatic use," he explained as he activated the system, "but I'd say this qualifies." While Garcia worked to establish a secure connection, Maya checked Kor'Jak's wounds one more time. The Leonid stood straighter now, his posture betraying none of the pain she knew he must still feel. "You don't have to do this," she told him quietly. "There might be other options, other places you could go." Kor'Jak's expression softened slightly as he looked down at her. "No. This path. Right path. Your people deserve truth, and he paused, searching for words. "I wish to see different way. Way you showed me." Before Maya could respond, the communication screen flared to life, revealing the stern face of Admiral Helena Reyes, Earth's Defense Force Chief of Intelligence Operations. Garcia, this had better be important. I'm in the middle of... The Admiral stopped abruptly, her eyes widening as she took in the sight of Maya and Kor'Jak. Explain, now. Over the next 30 minutes, Maya and Kor'Jak took turns relating the events that had brought them to this point. The Admiral listened without interruption, her expression inscrutable. When they finished, she remained silent for a long moment. Dr. Chen, your actions violated at least 15 regulations, she said finally. Under normal circumstances, he'd be facing court-martial. She shifted her gaze to Kor'Jak. However, if what you're telling me is accurate, Commander, the intelligence you possess could significantly alter the course of this conflict. Every word truth, Kor'Jak affirmed. We'll provide battle plans, deployment strategies, communication codes, all current. Why? Admiral Reyes asked bluntly. Why betray your people? Kor'Jak's massive shoulders straightened. Not betraying Leonids, betraying those who betray us. For generations, Meridian Collective uses us as weapons, sends us to die for their gain. His amber eyes burned with intensity. Time for new path. For all Leonids. The Admiral studied him assessingly before turning back to Maya. And you believe him, Doctor? With all due respect, Admiral, I spent the last week with him. I've treated his wounds, heard his story, watched him risk his life to save mine. Yes, I believe him. Yes. Admiral Reyes nodded slowly. Very well. Garcia, arrange immediate transport for both of them to the EDF cruiser Dauntless, currently patrolling the Tau Ceti boundary. Full security detail. She looked directly at Kor'Jak. I'm taking an enormous risk here, Commander. If this is some kind of elaborate deception... No deception, the Leonid stated firmly. Only truth. For both your sakes, I hope so. The Admiral's attention returned to Maya. Dr. Chen, your status is being changed from AWOL to special assignment, effective immediately. A full review of your actions will still be required upon your return. Understood, Admiral. The communication ended, leaving them in momentary silence. Garcia exhaled loudly. Well, that went better than expected. Let me make arrangements for your transport. As the commercial attaché moved to another console, Maya turned to Kor'Jak. Are you sure about this? Once you share that intelligence, there's no going back. The Leonid's expression was solemn, but determined. Already no going back. Only forward. He hesitated, then added softly, You saved my life. Now I save many lives. Honorable exchange. It's more than that though, isn't it? Maya pressed gently. Kor'Jak nodded slowly. Yes. Chance for new beginning. For me. Perhaps for all Leonids. Garcia returned before they could continue the conversation. Transport arranged. EDF security team will meet you at Docking Bay Eat Weld in 1 hour. He glanced nervously at his security monitors. Those individuals asking about you are still in the area. I recommend you stay here until departure time. The hour passed tensely. Maya's thoughts raced between worry about their immediate safety and uncertainty about what awaited them. Would Earth's military truly accept Kor'Jak's defection? Or would they simply extract his intelligence and then treat him as an experimental subject? And what of her own future? Even with her status changed, she had still violated direct orders. When the time came to move to the docking bay, Garcia insisted on leading them through service corridors to avoid the main brawl. Concourse. Less chance of an ambush this way, he explained, checking the small sidearm he now openly carried. They had nearly reached the docking bay when disaster struck. As they rounded a corner, they found themselves face to face with 3 armed figures, 2 burly humanoids in combat gear, and a sleek, chrome-skinned being Maya recognized as a Meridian cyborg enforcer. Commander Kor'Jak, the cyborg stated in a metallic voice. You are charged with desertion and treason against the Meridian Collective. Surrender for immediate return and judgment. Garcia raised his weapon, but one of the humanoids was faster, firing a stun blast that sent him crumpling to the floor. Maya reached for her own sidearm, knowing it would be hopelessly outmatched against their advanced weapons. Kor'Jak moved with astonishing speed for one still recovering from serious injuries. With a roar that shook the corridor, he launched himself at the attackers. Massive claws extended. The humanoids scattered, but the cyborg stood its ground, meeting the Leonid's charge with mechanically enhanced strength. "Run!" Kor'Jak bellowed to Maya, as he grappled with the cyborg. "Reach ship." Instead, Maya took cover and fired her sidearm at one of the humanoids, forcing him back. The corridor became a chaos of energy blasts, snarling, and the screech of metal as Kor'Jak and the cyborg tore at each other. The Leonid was fighting with the desperate fury of one who knew what capture meant, but the cyborg's enhanced body gave it an edge. A mechanical arm slammed into Kor'Jak's recently healed wounds, causing him to falter. The cyborg pressed its advantage, pinning the massive Leonid against the wall. Maya saw her opening. Darting forward, she jammed her medkit's emergency defibrillator against the exposed neural cluster at the back of the cyborg's neck. Its one vulnerable point. If Kor'Jak's previous explanations of Meridian technology were accurate, the gamble paid off. The cyborg convulsed as the electrical surge disrupted its systems, giving Kor'Jak the moment he needed to break free. With a powerful swipe of his claws, he severed the cyborg's head from its body. The remaining humanoids, seeing their advantage lost, retreated down the corridor, firing wildly to cover their escape. "You should have run," Kor'Jak growled at Maya, though there was more concern than anger in his voice. "And miss all the excitement?" she retorted, checking Garcia's vital signs. "He's stunned, but stable. We need to move before those two come back with reinforcements." Supporting each other, they made their way to the docking bay where an Earth Defense Force shuttle waited, 4 heavily armed soldiers standing guard outside. The soldiers tensed at the sight of Kor'Jak's massive, blood-spattered form. "Doctor, Maya, Chen, and Commander Kor'Jak, under Admiral Reyes' orders." Maya identified them quickly. "We need immediate departure. Hostiles in pursuit." The squad leader verified their identities with a quick scan, then nodded crisply. "Aboard now. We've been briefed on the situation." As the shuttle detached from Xanthi outpost and accelerated toward the rendezvous with the Dauntless, Maya finally allowed herself to relax slightly. Beside her, Kor'Jak sat in silence, his amber eyes distant. "Second thoughts?" she asked quietly. The Leonid turned to her, his expression solemn. "No. But path ahead. Uncertain." "That's the thing about new beginnings," Maya replied with a small smile. "They're always uncertain." The journey to the Dauntless passed uneventfully, but tension returned as they approached the massive Earth warship. For most of the crew, Kor'Jak would represent the enemy they had been fighting, a feared Leonid commander responsible for who knew how many human casualties. Their reception, however, was professionally restrained. Armed guards escorted them directly to a secure conference room where Admiral Reyes awaited in person, flanked by senior intelligence officers. "Dr. Chen, Commander Kor'Jak." The Admiral nodded to each of them. "Welcome aboard the Dauntless. I trust your journey was without incident?" "Not exactly," Maya replied, briefly recounting the ambush at Xanthi outpost. The Admiral's expression darkened. The Meridians moved quickly. "They must be very concerned about what you know, Commander." "With reason," Kor'Jak confirmed grimly. "Operation Sundering begins in 3 days. Largest offensive yet." This statement caused an immediate stir among the intelligence officers. Admiral Reyes silenced them with a gesture. "We'll get to that. First, protocol requires a thorough security screening for both of you. Dr. Chen, you'll be debriefed separately." "I stay with the doctor," Kor'Jak growled, his massive frame tensing. "That's not standard procedure," one of the intelligence officers protested. "The commander is under my medical care," Maya interceded smoothly. His quote, "Injuries require monitoring. And he's placing an enormous amount of trust in us. I believe we can extend the same courtesy." The Admiral studied them thoughtfully before nodding. "Very well. Together then. But the debriefing begins immediately. If Operation Sundering is as significant as the commander suggests, we have no time to waste." What followed was the most intense 3 days of Maya's life. Kor'Jak shared everything: battle plans, fleet deployments, communication codes, the complex political structure of the Meridian Collective. and the true role of the Leonids within it. The intelligence officers worked around the clock to verify his information, and with each confirmation, their initial skepticism gave way to grudging respect. The collective has been using the Leonids as expendable shock troops. Admiral Reyes summarized during one session, sending them to the most dangerous engagements, often without proper support or exit strategies. Yes, Kor'Jak confirmed, his deep voice tinged with bitterness. Tell Leonids it is honor to die in battle. Glory for pride. Truth is, we die while Meridian commanders watch from safety. And your people accept this? Many generations taught this way. Question nothing. Follow orders. The Leonids' amber eyes took on a distant look. But some begin to see truth. Whispers of discontent. Maya, who had been quietly observing, spoke up. You're not just a defector, are you? You're hoping to start a revolution. Kor'Jak met her gaze steadily. Not revolution. Liberation. Leonids deserve choice. All beings deserve choice. Admiral Reyes leaned forward, intent. Are you saying there are others who feel as you do? Other Leonids who might break from the collective? Yes. Many in my pride. Question orders. See waste of lives. Kor'Jak's massive hands clenched. Need only to see possibility of different path. The Admiral exchanged meaningful glances with her officers. Commander, I believe we may have an opportunity here that goes beyond simply thwarting Operation Sundering. With your permission, I'd like to bring in our strategic operations team to discuss expanded options. The meeting that followed stretched late into the ship's night cycle. Military strategists, political advisors, and communication specialists joined their group, all focused on a daring proposal. Not just to counter the upcoming Meridian offensive, but to use it as an opportunity to reach out to the Leonid forces directly. A targeted message, the communications specialist explained, broadcast on Leonid command frequencies during the battle. Commander Kor'Jak would speak to his people, show them there's another choice. And we would offer asylum to any who choose to defect, Admiral Reyes added. Plus, recognition of Leonid sovereignty separate from the collective. Maya watched Kor'Jak carefully as he considered the proposal. His expression remained stoic, but she had learned to read the subtle shifts in his posture, the flicker of his ears, the intensity of his gaze. Dangerous, he said. Finally. For all. Many Leonids will reject message. See as trick. But some won't, Maya interjected softly. Some will remember the doubts they've already had, the questions they've been afraid to ask. Kor'Jak turned to her. Must be my voice. My face. No deception. Of course, Admiral Reyes agreed. Authenticity is crucial. They need to see that you've made this choice freely and that you're being treated with respect. The Leonid nodded slowly. Then I agree. We'll speak to my people. His amber eyes met Maya's. We'll show them honor can have different meaning. In the hours that followed, they crafted the message carefully, every word weighted with significance. Kor'Jak spoke of his experiences, of the betrayal by Meridian Command, of the honor he had found in an unexpected place in the actions of a human medic who valued life above all else. We were created as weapons, he concluded, his powerful voice resonating with emotion that even the most skeptical human listeners could recognize. But we have become more. We have families, traditions, psalms of our own making. We are not tools to be discarded. We are Leonids, and we deserve the freedom to choose our own path. When the recording was complete, Maya found herself blinking back tears. The simple dignity of his appeal, the courage it represented, moved her deeply. Operation Sundering arrived with the predicted precision. The Meridian Fleet, with Leonid strike forces at the vanguard, launched their massive offensive against Earth's border colonies. But instead of finding the expected defenses, they encountered a thoroughly prepared Earth fleet equipped with countermeasures for every Meridian tactic, positioned to neutralize every strategic advantage. As the battle was joined, Admiral Reyes gave the command. Kor'Jak's message broadcast across all Leonid frequencies, his face appearing on command screens throughout the Leonid fleet. His words, powerful and direct, reached thousands of his kind simultaneously. The effect was immediate and dramatic. Confusion spread through the Leonid forces. Some ships continued their attack patterns, but others hesitated, their formations breaking down. And then, remarkably, several Leonid strike vessels changed course, withdrawing from the battle entirely. "They're responding," the tactical officer reported incredulously. Multiple Leonid ships disengaging from Meridian command structure. Kor'Jak watched the battle unfold from the Dauntless's command center, Maya at his side. His expression remained impassive, but his tense posture betrayed his anxiety. "Some hear," he murmured. "Some listen." The Meridian commanders, faced with the unprecedented breakdown in Leonid discipline, attempted to regroup, but without their elite shock troops leading the assault, their carefully planned offensive faltered. Earth's forces pressed the advantage, targeting Meridian command ships while carefully avoiding engagement with Leonid vessels that had withdrawn from the fight. Within hours, what should have been the collective's greatest victory had become a stunning defeat. Dozens of Leonid ships had broken formation, with 14 vessels officially requesting asylum and safe passage to Earth-controlled space. "It worked," Admiral Reyes stated, the usual military stoicism giving way to genuine amazement. "Your people heard you, Commander." "Not all," Kor'Jak noted solemnly. "Many still fight. Change. Difficult. But it's begun," Maya said, touching his arm gently. "You've shown them it's possible." In the days that followed, a new chapter in interstellar relations began to unfold. The defecting Leonid ships, carrying over 3,000 warriors and their families, were escorted to a secure Earth facility established specifically for their reception. Kor'Jak, as the first and highest-ranking defector, became their de facto leader and primary liaison with Earth authorities. Maya found herself assigned as medical director for the new Leonid settlement, a position she embraced wholeheartedly. The opportunity to learn about Leonid physiology and culture firsthand was unprecedented, and her genuine respect for them helped ease the natural tensions of the situation. The initial weeks were challenging. Many humans remained deeply suspicious of the fearsome warriors who had so recently been their enemies. Some of the Leonids struggled with their decision, questioning whether they had abandoned their honor by choosing survival over continued service to the collective. Kor'Jak addressed these concerns directly, establishing a new code of honor that incorporated the best of Leonid traditions while embracing concepts of self-determination and mutual respect. His leadership style was firm but fair, demanding discipline while encouraging growth and adaptation. "Honor not in dying without purpose," he told his people. "Honor in living with purpose, in protecting those who cannot protect themselves, in standing for truth even when standing alone." These principles resonated with the Leonids, who had always valued courage and integrity. Gradually, they began to build a new society within the settlement, maintaining their proud warrior traditions while exploring aspects of culture that had been suppressed under Meridian rule. Maya watched this transformation with wonder, particularly in Kor'Jak himself. The fierce warrior she had found dying on a battlefield had become a thoughtful leader, balancing strength with wisdom, tradition with innovation. He still carried himself with military bearing, still trained daily to maintain his formidable combat skills. But there was a new dimension to him now, a curiosity about the universe beyond battle, a capacity for joy she hadn't glimpsed before. 6 months after the failed Operation Sundering, Maya found Kor'Jak at his favorite spot overlooking the settlement, a high ridge where the evening breeze carried the scents of both the human agricultural projects and the Leonid living quarters. "The council approved your proposal," she told him as she joined him at the ridge. "The Leonid medical training program begins next month. 10 of your people will start their education as combat medics." Kor'Jak nodded with satisfaction. "Good. Leonid warriors who heal. Powerful symbol of new path." He turned to face her fully. "You're teaching?" "I'll oversee the program, yes. Though there's still so much I'm learning about Leonid physiology." "Learn together," he rumbled, a hint of amusement in his deep voice. "Best way." Maya smiled, struck once again by how far they had come from that desperate day on a battlefield. "I received a message from Admiral Reyes today. Intelligence reports suggest more Leonid units are showing signs of dissent. The Meridian Collective is facing internal pressure to improve treatment of Leonid forces. Seeds planted grow, Kor'Jak observed. Even in difficult soil. They stood in companionable silence, watching the sunset paint the sky in brilliant hues of orange and purple. The settlement below hummed with activity. Leonid warriors training in their traditional combat forms, cubs playing in designated recreation areas, humans and Leonids working side by side on construction braille projects. "I never thanked you properly," Kor'Jak said suddenly. Maya looked up at him, surprised. "For what?" "For seeing person, not enemy. For showing different way." His amber eyes held hers intently. "For saving more than body. You've more than repaid any debt." Maya replied softly. "Look at what you've accomplished. Hundreds of lives saved on both sides. A new beginning for your people." Kor'Jak shook his massive head. "Not about debt. About—" He hesitated, searching for the right word. "Connection. Understanding between different kinds. Rare thing. Valuable thing." Maya felt a warmth spread through her chest at his words. The bond between them had indeed grown into something neither could have anticipated. Not quite friendship in the human sense, not quite the warrior bond Leonids formed in battle, but something unique and profound. "The Earth Defense Council is meeting next week to discuss your proposal for a Leonid peacekeeping force," she said. "Admiral Reyes believes they'll approve it. First step," Kor'Jak rumbled thoughtfully. "Leonids protect, not just destroy. Show galaxy different strength." "It's an incredible vision," Maya agreed. "From battlefield enemies to galactic peacekeepers in less than a year." The Leonid's expression grew solemn. "Long path still. Many challenges. Some humans fear. Some Leonids resist change. Meridians seek revenge. We'll face those challenges as they come," Maya said with quiet confidence. "One step at a time." As if to underscore her words, a small delegation approached them from the settlement. 3 Leonid warriors and 2 human diplomats, coming to discuss the details of the upcoming medical training program. Maya recognized the subtle shifts in Kor'Jak's posture as he prepared to resume his leadership role, the momentary vulnerability giving way to calm authority. Before they arrived, he placed a massive paw gently on her shoulder. "Maya Chen," he said, using her full name as Leonids did in moments of formal significance. "Your kind call some actions turning points in history. Small moments that change everything after. Yes, you finding me, healing me, when others would not, that was turning point. For me. For Leonids. Perhaps for many worlds." Maya swallowed against the sudden tightness in her throat. "We both made choices that day. Both took risks." Kor'Jak nodded, a subtle gesture of respect. "Choices matter. Courage matters." He straightened to his full impressive height as the delegation neared. "Now we show others same truth." 1 year to the day after Maya had found a dying Leonid warrior on a battlefield, she stood beside Kor'Jak in the grand chamber of the Council of 12 Systems, watching history unfold. The massive alien lion warrior roared as he stood before the assembled delegates, his golden mane shimmering under the grand chamber's lights. "Lights. I fight in the name of Earth," his thunderous voice declared. "And in the name of all beings who choose freedom over servitude, life over needless death, creation over destruction." Whispers spread among the alien delegates how, had a human, a species barely known beyond their own system, tamed the fiercest Leonid warrior ever known? Their eyes met across the chamber, a silent agreement passing between them. Let them wonder. Let them speculate. The truth was both simpler and more profound than any could guess. A simple act of mercy had changed. Everything had transformed enemies into allies, warriors into healers, and written a new chapter in the story of the stars. As the Leonid peacekeeping force was formally recognized by the Council, with Kor'Jak as its first commander, and Earth as its sponsoring world, Maya felt a sense of completion unlike anything she had experienced before. Medical Director Chen, a council aide, approached her as the formal proceedings concluded. "Your presence is requested in the diplomatic annex." The Meridian representatives wished to discuss the proposed medical exchange program. Maya nodded, already planning her approach to this delicate negotiation. The Meridians, facing pressure from within and without after the Leonid defections, had reluctantly begun to engage with the new reality. Small steps toward a different kind of relationship, perhaps even eventually peace. As she made her way through the ornate council halls, she caught glimpses of Leonids in their new peacekeeping uniforms, distinguished by a subtle earth insignia alongside traditional Leonid markings. They stood tall, proud not of conquest but of protection, their fierce strength channeled toward preservation rather than destruction. One of them, a young female whose name Maya recalled as Triska, offered a formal salute as she passed. The gesture, combining Leonid and human military traditions, symbolized everything they had worked to build. In the medical training program, Triska had shown exceptional aptitude, her warrior's discipline translating beautifully to the precision required in emergency medicine. Soon she would lead the first Leonid medical response team, bringing healing to battlefields where once her kind had only brought death. Maya returned the salute with equal formality, then continued to her meeting. The path ahead remained challenging prejudices to overcome, trust to build, wounds both physical and psychological to heal. But looking at how far they had come already, she felt nothing but hope. Somewhere in a distant part of the council complex, she knew Kor'Jak was engaged in his own diplomatic dance, negotiating with representatives from worlds that still viewed Leonids with fear. His patience in these situations continued to surprise those who knew only the warrior reputation of his kind. Later, they would compare notes, strategize their next steps, perhaps share a quiet moment of reflection as they often did. Two beings from different worlds, brought together by chance and choice, now working to reshape the stars themselves. Maya smiled to herself as she entered the diplomatic annex. A simple field medic and a wounded alien warrior who could have predicted they would become a legend that would echo across the galaxy for generations to come?